We are opening it up. Go ahead and hit that got it button, get it out your face. It's the open topic mastermind. So we're going to sit in awkward silence to see who wants to talk first.
I'll speak first.
Come on, let's do it. Keith, what's going on?
Do
Did we lose him? Or is that me? Oh no, Keith, I think.
I think we lost him.
Did I
wanna-
mute? No, I didn't mute.
Oh, Keith, it's breaking up really bad. It's breaking up really bad. Oh, I think you might be back.
That better or no?
Yeah, I think you're back now.
Okay, sorry about that.
No.
I was just saying that I'm trying to bring myself to make a lot more phone calls every day consistently. And I'd like to just kind of hear the psyche of that from different folks that are successful at it. Like, what do they do to motivate themselves?
Oh, not Liz. Liz says not her. So I am not, I don't do cold calling, but I also am not an avid fan of the picking up the phone and calling, but I know I need to. So for me,
Yeah,
it goes in different cycles. First, I'm calling the people that are really enjoyable because my calls are to my sphere. So the
Yep, that's
enjoyable
right.
calls are super easy. So let's get that off the table. Those are fun. Let's get those done. The next ones, I'm like, we're going to do this. We're going to sit down and I give myself an hour and I'm like, okay, we are going to call as many people as I can and make it a game, reward myself at the end of it with whatever, 10 minutes walking around outside or going to get a snack, whatever it might be. I kind of just push myself. It's kind of like going to the gym for me.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to, but I know that at the end of it, I'm going to feel so great. So let me just start it, because as soon as I personally start it and know that I've set a time for it, I'm just going to keep going until that time is up. For those that are cold callers, I've been told that you go for no. You need to retrain your brain when you're asking people if they are interested in something, are they still in the market, blah, blah, blah. You go for no. Since we were children, we were trained, we were trained that the word no means to stop what you're doing. It's discouraging. And we've been trained that for however old you've been alive. And in sales, you need to try to rewire your brain that no is not a bad thing. And one way you can do that is to make a goal of seeing how many no's you can get. And so with the go for no, you set a number saying, I want 10 no's, because I don't know what the statistics are. I'm just going to throw out a BS number. I'm going to say 99% of the time, you're going to get a yes before you get to 10 no's. So, and with the more no's you receive, the more comfortable you become receiving them, and it brushes off your shoulders so much easier. It's not as heavy when you receive those no's. So I think I'm going to turn it over to someone else to chime in, but I think my advice summed up is to kind of just jump into it.
Yes.
Okay. Force yourself, jump into it. And when you're getting those no's, congratulate yourself. Don't be like, damn it, another no. I have to make other calls.
Right.
No, be like, yes, that's a no. Okay, next one. I'm going to make another call. Is it a no? Is it a yes? Which one is it going to be? Because you already know if it's a yes or you get a referral or something from it, you know you're going to be happy about that. So that is my advice on that.
Thank
Christian?
you. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Christian, you make calls since I have you on the call.
Do I make calls?
Do you make calls?
Calls for what? What type of calls are we talking about?
Real estate lead gen calls.
Real
How do
estate
you
lead
do
gen.
your calls? How do you get into the right mindset to jump in?
Well, you see, I think the important thing is that you have an objective. Just like when you knock on someone's door, you have to have a purpose. If your purpose is genuine and it's legitimate and it is kind, then you're going to be okay, because what they're saying no to is something that you can avoid giving them. You're only going to give to the people who deserve, right? So if I'm calling Tiffany because I have something for her, but she chooses not to have it, then that's okay, because now I can give it to somebody else and they're going to get that. So it's about purpose, I think. And a lot of people talk about having a script. Personally, I couldn't find a script that matched me. But the only times that I've ever called to get listings, and I did get a couple actually, was because I had a legitimate buyer. It was legitimate. It wasn't a BS. It wasn't like, oh, I've got buyers in your area looking for it. No, I really had a buyer looking for a home. And excuse me 1 second. Bye-bye. I need to say bye to my daughter. Bye-bye, sweetheart.
Cool.
Have a great day. All right. So just I had a legitimate purpose to be calling around a neighborhood, and then I ended up, the relationship that I built with the seller was not like list the house tomorrow. It took a couple of months. But at least from that phone call, I was able to cultivate a relationship with the seller. And I showed it to a couple of potential buyers. And eventually she said to me, do you know what, Christian, will you list my home? That was the first one, I remember very clearly. And then since then, I should do more cold calling, especially now with the way the market is going. I do believe that it's probably a good idea because, you know, whereas before we only needed to get 100 leads a month to be able to get transactions, now we probably need to get 500 leads a month to get the same number of transactions. I don't know what the statistic is, but whatever it was we were doing before, we need to do that and then do more, is my opinion. But yeah, I hope that's of some value. I don't know, I just ramble away. I'm half caffeinated at the moment. I apologize.
No, thank you, Christian. I loved when you said you start with a purpose.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. Liz, what's up?
I think all of us, right? It's psychological because we don't want to bother people, right? That's just what it is. Like the reality is we don't want to bother people, and typically we don't want to bother the people that we know. I will tell you guys every single time, I am not a cold caller. I had to do it when I was on a team, and when I worked with Claire, that's how I learned how to really talk to people, but I don't like it. So what I had to do was I had to tweak my business in order to make sure that I'm getting the results that I want. And I do that by being face to face with people. So I increase the amount of open houses that I'm doing to increase the amount of leads coming in. So I did one yesterday where I did an open house on this property. I'm not the listing agent on it. I did it 2 weeks ago where I got 15 groups in 2 weeks ago, but then I changed some of the signage, changed a little this, changed a little that, and I had 15 groups in 3 hours in one day. And I booked a listing appointment because they're like, oh my God, we've seen your signs everywhere. And now when I'm lead genning in the morning, I'm calling these leads that I've already built a relationship with. So I can have those kind of conversations because they're warm and hot leads because I've already met you. But I just can't do the cold calling. So it's something that I am gonna implement in the business. So I am here just like you guys. Like if you have any, like I read Go for No, I know what I have to do, but it's just like taking that leap of faith to just like, you know what, just gotta do it. And I think it's mental, right? Where I have to change the mentality and stop thinking of a task and falling in love with the no again. We have to fall in love with the no in order to be able to continue to do it where it's not bringing us down when we hear all of those no's. So that's the biggest thing that I can say, fall in love with the no, and we'll go from there. So hopefully that helped.
Yeah, start with a purpose and fall in love with the no. Well, we hope that helps. Keith, do you have any other questions on
thank you.
getting
That was
started?
awesome. Thank you so much. I just wanted to break the ice. Let's go, team. Come on.
Okay,
Multiple
yeah,
questions.
come on, guys. Keith started off really strong.
I think I have something. Did anyone hear about the interest rates went down this weekend and all that good stuff?
I didn't see it.
Have you guys talked to your lender partners about that, like to see what exactly that looked like? Did it look like a blip in the market? Do we think it's going to continue to move? Like, has anyone had those conversations yet? I'm just curious because I am trying and we're more like a blip.
Liz,
Yes.
I have. And if I probably work with, I want to say about 4 or 5 different lenders. And if I've learned anything, I think, and maybe you can share this too, you know, if we're in the relationship business, lenders are 100% in the sales business. I mean, it's another, I don't want to call it gimmick. I mean, they're not really gimmicks, but they've got all these newfangled things and everything. And my belief is, as a real estate professional, I need to be very careful about going out there and talking about interest rates. It's none of my business. And we shouldn't be quoting rates to people anyway. We're not allowed to, unless you're also a loan officer, but we shouldn't be doing that. So as much as I will talk to them, and of course they're going to show me the next shiny object, whether it's the all-in-one, the 2-1 buy down, the 3-2-1, the this, that, the other, and all this fancy stuff. And then, yes, they talk about interest rates are going down, and they're probably going to go down in a month. Well, probably I don't deal with. You know, that's future shit. Excuse me, that's crystal ball. I don't do that. So I just, you know, in terms of lenders, I'm just very cautious about getting into that whole world. And I do speak to them. And if I have a specific concern or a specific client, we will address it at that time, because as we all know, interest rates are not only affected by the Fed, they're also affected by employment. They're also affected by someone's credit score, someone's income, their loan to value, etc. What product they're going to get, non-QM, conventional, FHA, VA, they're all different. So I kind of think it muddies the water once I start talking to people about interest rates and how much their monthly payments are going to be. It's my opinion. So I don't go too much into it. I just try and find a buyer or a seller. That's it.
I was going to also answer, I haven't had that type of conversation with the lender, Liz, like saying, hey, what's your opinion on this? And that's a really good idea. I probably should have. But for me, I'll admit, I probably do a little bit more than the bare minimum, because bare minimum for agents, I'm going to say, is to see it and then to do nothing about it, to see the news, to see the buzz. Bare minimum is literally nothing. So I do a little bit more than that. If I know someone was worried about rates beforehand or whatever they locked in at, when I do see that things have changed, I'm immediately calling, texting, emailing the lender like, hey, has this helped John Smith? And then if the rates have gone up, I'm like, whoa, what has this done for John Smith? Are we still a pre-approved? And if we are, is the amount still the same? Or are we working with a little less? Do I need to help get more assistance from the other side or something? Those are the conversations that I have had with my lender in terms of the rates, but I haven't had a conversation and asked them what their thoughts were going to be, like their opinion, which is a brilliant idea. So thanks for that question. Anyone else? No, you guys are just sitting back listening to me, Christian and Liz talk. Come on, is there anything challenging for you guys? Anything that has been super easy for you? Mateo, the extraordinary, my dear.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing this morning?
Doing better now that you're off mute. How can we help?
Yes, I just wanted to share a little bit of something that my mentor, when I was really young, made me understand of what is going on in life. Okay, so he told me that it doesn't matter that I prepare a lot, that it does matter that I study really hard, that I do everything that I'm supposed to do. but because he told me, just remember that in the play field, nobody's gonna give you a seat at the table. You're gonna have to take that seat off the table. And just remember, for example, you have a lot of disadvantages growing up. So when it's just like a soccer game. During the whole game, you're not gonna play. Maybe they give you the last 5 minutes of the game. Make sure that on those 5 last minutes, you score an amazing goal. And for you to score an amazing goal on those 5 minutes, you're gonna have to prepare harder than anyone else. You have to study really hard, and you have to practice harder than anybody else. So I understand from the beginning that this business, for example, real estate, nobody was going to give me business. But the moment they open a little bit of the window or a little bit of the door, I was going to kick that door. And I was going to enter, and I was going to make my business. So what I have done with the lender side, because I understand we're not even supposed to talk about rates or anything, as you know, I make my lender take the same classes that I take. My open house classes, even right here. Am I still on? Yes. Okay. So, for example, we're gonna take together the Tina Bailan class, real estate relationships. So I want my lender to be on the same page, but also I want him or her to do her job with me. I don't want to be, intrusive of her job, but I need her to be on the same page of me. If a lender is not willing to get educated at the same level that my business is gonna get educated, I will have to change that. I will have to change lenders, because if they're going with to open houses with me, if they are going to maybe buyers appointments, they need to know that we're working on the same page and we have the same level of productivity and the same mindset at least. Mhm. Mhm.
Thank you. Yes. It reminded me of the death crawl thing that Tom brought up, and Tom has shown that video so many times. It gets me in my feels every time I see that video. But when you're like, when you might only play for that last 5 minutes, but you got to get down, hunker down hard and play harder than maybe anyone else. You were going to have to practice harder than everyone else, so that last 5 minutes. And it just reminded me, because that boy was tired, and I'm not going to lie, we are in November. I am tired. But thank you.
I know.
It just reminds me, I'm like, just keep pushing, stay in the training, stay locked into what's going on in the market, such as rates, the housing market, the prices, the days on market, the inventory overall. Staying on top of that stuff, so that, like, when Christian says he finds the buyers and sellers, guess what? He doesn't have to sit here and scramble like, oh, let me figure out how to learn this real quick so I can best serve you. He's been silently working on it all day, every day. Liz does the same. I know you guys are doing some of those things as well. Maybe you want to take it to the next level, and it starts by being observant, like just being more aware. Really, truly, what's going on, immersing yourself into your business.
So I have something.
Yes, Karen.
How are you? Hi, everybody.
I'm good.
So I am actually selling my own home, and so it's kind of a weird doing a open house on your own home and showings on your own home. I don't know if anybody's done that, but for me, it's very strange. So I want to talk about open houses, and Liz, you had a really great one. In our market here in North Carolina, where we are in the luxury section, it's been pretty dead. So I have not thrown an open house yet. I've had a lot of showings where people, it was first coming soon, it's only been on the market 9 days or whatever, scrambling for appointments and loving the house, loving everything in it. Offers from one person that wants to buy it, who happens to be a broker with another brokerage, but I'm just want to know, in terms of open houses, what your best bet is in terms of doing them, how you're doing them. Are you doing them on just letting anybody in, putting up signs and having people come in? Are you doing them on private appointment open houses? Do you do broker open houses first? And what are you showing in your houses in terms of, are you doing them with lenders? And what are you showing in terms of materials in your open houses, in terms of market, questions and answers? So I'll shut up now so you guys can talk.
No, it's okay. Yeah. I think Liz is chomping at the bit to tag in and assist with this one.
Yeah, so really quick, Karen, out of curiosity, so you haven't held an open house on the property and it's been on the market for 9 days, correct?
Yes.
Would you mind sharing the price point of the property?
$649,900.
Okay, now to your knowledge, is it, like, you can be completely transparent because this is a safe space. Do you think it's a little high? Do you think you priced it correctly, or is it a little under?
It's a little, to me, it's a little under.
Okay.
It was 662. It's the only one we only have a subdivision of 93 homes. It's the only one in the subdivision that's selling. We rarely have homes here that sell. The last two sold 228 a square foot. This is a 209 a square foot.
Okay, so for me, because of the price point and it's in the luxury market, like I personally would have started with like a broker owner, with a broker open and a Twilight, and something like a Twilight, like very, very upscale because it is luxury, like maybe some mimosas, some, a little bit of champagne charcuterie and things like that. And then the signs really make a difference. And also the amount of signs that you put out. However, I would just go through and blast it through Showing Time on like through EXP, just say, hey, open house, broker open, something like that. And then you want to do a public one that's that weekend. Now, you are going to get a lot of people who probably can't afford it to come in. But when you're doing those open houses and they see that it's in that specific neighborhood, most people who want to be in that neighborhood, don't know that the house is for sale. So have you, like, for me, it's not just about the open house too, it's about the door knocking, whether you're actually having a conversation with the neighbors and letting them know that the house is for sale. Because everyone knows here, most people want the people that they know to live near them. So they may have someone that's already interested in being in that community, but they don't know that your house is for sale. So I would do that. And then another thing, so I actually sold my own house where I did my own open houses and everything. And I had to understand, like, the first weekend that I did it, I'm like, I need to do this with another agent because it does get a little weird. Like, people start asking questions and everything, and they don't feel comfortable really and truly feeling like it's their home when the owner is there. We've all done it where we do showings with people and all of a sudden the sellers are there and they're just like, that was awkward. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when you have someone else host that open house for you, you're opening up not just to your database, but to theirs. So you're getting maximum exposure.
That's great. So
yeah.
About open house signs.
I'm sorry, Karen, you're breaking up.
Were you talking about open house signs, putting out open house signs?
Yes. 100%. So everybody knows me. I do a minimum of 70 signs. I'm not saying you have to put 70 signs out there, but they make a difference. So when we're lining them up all on the highway and having those directionals there, we change the way that so this is my third time doing an open house at this house that I did. I had 15 groups combined on one weekend. Yesterday, I had 15 groups just on Sunday. So the signs matter in placement. So, and when you, and it's a psychological thing too. Like if you're driving your car and you start seeing sign, you naturally just start following the signs and going wherever it stops you, and wherever it takes you. I asked the buyers that walked in, they're like, oh my God, like I saw all the signs. 90%, I would say easily 90 to 95% of the people that walk into my open houses saw the signs. They're like, we can see it on realtor.com. We can see it here. We saw the signs. So they make a difference. Now, again, make sure that your HOA communities, if you are in an HOA, that they allow signs and know the rules and regulations for it. But once you get past that, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. You're going to get some leads out of it too. So just prepare for that. You may not find the buyer that first weekend, but if you do the open houses religiously with different agents, because they're exposing it to more people, you'll find the buyer for it.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem. I
Karen,
hope that helps.
do you mind if I share something with you?
No, absolutely. Please.
Okay, so I, of course, agree with everything Liz says. I mean, who wouldn't? But what I would say is that I prepared a document the other day, which is not really ready to share. It's just something that I did myself, which is for sale by owners. And it talks about, I was just like thinking through my fingers and typed something up. And there are a few points in there which I thought were rather interesting. And the first is, whenever I do a listing, I do what I call a pricing strategy. Now, within that pricing strategy, I also include a listing strategy. So on some properties, I will have them as coming soon for maybe about 5 days, and then they'll go active, but there won't be any showings until the weekend. So the goal that I try to achieve is to create the perception of demand. Create the perception that the restaurant is packed. Because if you walk down the street and you see a full restaurant, you go in, you order off the menu, you probably won't even look at the price.
Right.
If you go into a restaurant and it's completely empty, before you even look at what's on the menu, you're going to look at the prices.
Right.
So there's that psychological element, which I try to apply to my listings. Now, everything is carrot and the stick. You need to have enough to pique people's interest, but not scare them away. So I currently, my mentality behind listings right now, and there's a listing I just picked up, which is a bit awkward because it was listed with somebody else already before, and then they canceled that listing and that's coming to me. So I'm like trying to put my head around, okay, how do I do that strategy when it was already listed? And we're doing it with a lower price point, because I'm thinking around about 15% below market. In other words, market, because as real estate professionals, we need to look at where the market's trending, not where it's been, or just where it's trending. So if I see that home values, I mean, every time interest rates go up by 75 basis points, we know that the buying power of the buyer goes down by about 5% of the purchase price, right? So I say, okay, well, somewhere between 5 and 15% below the next comp is where I want to price it, that's going to bring in enough people. But no one can come in and see the property yet, because I want to create that needle to thread all those people into that one small area, because if everyone's there at more or less the same time, it shows tremendous amounts of activity, and that is what I'm going for. So yes, the 50 or 75 or 40 or 30, however many signs you put down the road is going to bring you traffic, like seat warmers at the Oscars. You know, who just seat fillers at the Oscars. I mean, it just makes it look popular. But the one buyer, and you only need one, that wants it, is going to think that they're not the only one that wants it.
Correct.
You know, we see a nice something, we assume everybody must want it. So that one buyer is now going to be driven to bring the price up. And ideally, you can get more than one competing offer, in which case the price goes up even more. So don't get too concerned with where you're pricing it, as long as it's at a point that is going to bring in traffic. because that's not the price you're going to sell it for. You drive past a car dealership, they've got a big sticker on the front. You know you're not going to buy it for that price,
Right.
but it was enough to bring you in.
Right.
You know, so
Question.
that's, yes.
Oh, if I interrupted, I'm sorry, go back to your train of thought.
Not at all, no.
What about Thanksgiving weekend? Because Thanksgiving's on Thursday, and then we have Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Is that a good time for an open house or a terrible time for an open house?
I mean, yeah, I'm not completely familiar with American consumerism yet, so I can't talk about you know what happens between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But yeah, I mean, I personally, yeah, I would do it, but
I would do it.
I don't know. Yeah.
I've done in the past, and it's been 50-50. I'll tell you my feeling right now. I see more out-of-town buyers who are serious buyers, who are looking at this price point at this house, who want to move, who are looking to be closer to their children. Everyone who has come to see this house are moving to be closer to their children and grandchildren and relocating, and have been primarily out-of-town buyers. Now, out-of-town not necessarily meaning an hour away to Florida, moving here to North Carolina, to people being in, the names won't matter, but an hour north coming down. So I'm just asking, I'm thinking about doing it that weekend because you have so much family together, you know, and part of, I've done a landing page that I'm going to put out that basically says, you know, here's this home in your neighborhood. Now's your chance to pick your new neighbors or get your family to move closer. So I think that'll resonate based on what I've seen. And also do that as an ad, we're doing it as a Google ad. So, okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't insane. I am.
I also do the just listed, just sold cards, but I think the main thing behind doing that is you know, for my own purpose to try and get more listings. But
right.
You know, we do send those out. But I am a huge fan of door knocking, and you know, since you are the owner, you know, you have a wonderful excuse to speak to your neighbors about the fact that you're looking to sell your home, and I would seriously consider doing some of that.
Christian, I would normally agree with you, but I have to say, and this is a safe space. I live in one of the most unfriendly neighborhoods in probably North Carolina. I tried, you know, door knocking here. We're only here 2 years when we first moved in. And it was, you would have thought I had 10 serpent heads, just trying to have somebody open the door and then I was going to grab them and eat them. It was insane. So yeah.
Don't let it stop you. Don't let it stop you though.
Okay.
It's like going for the no, fall in love with it, because you're gonna meet nasty people. It doesn't matter where you door knock, you're always gonna meet, but you're just saying, hey, I'm not soliciting. I'm just letting you know there's a public service announcement that I have an open house or my home is for sale. And, you know, just wanted to let you know in case you see the increase in traffic coming in and out. That's why.
I have to say something. I can't
wait.
There was a lady who was on the in the GPS group. She still is, and I'm not sure if she's on this call. I have no idea who's on the call. But she wanted to come and see me go door knocking, right? So the very first house I door knocked on had on the front window, a big picture of a gun. And it said, you know, don't worry about the dog. The owner will shoot you.
Yes.
And she says to me, you're not going to knock on that door, are you? And I said, of course I am. So I knocked on the door, guy answered, did my little spiel about going to be a bit more traffic than usual. So if anybody blocks your driveway or whatever, you can shout at me as my information. And then anyway, he called me and I got the listing, right? And so whatever, I got a listing from that one. Another one, in another community just down the road, absolutely spectacular house, but it did look like it would scare the teenagers away, you know, just a little bit of lightning and it was a Dracula castle, you know. So, and that one had a massive no soliciting sign.
Right.
And I knocked on the door, guy opened, horribly mean, "What do you want?" And I said, you know, my purpose of being here is just for your safety and security. This weekend, we're going to have blah, blah, blah. He ended up talking to me for an hour and a half.
Oh, my goodness. It's your
An hour
attitude.
and a half. So
You fall in love with it.
that's very kind of you to say. The funny thing is I think that people put up natural defense mechanisms as coming across as mean because they're actually really sweet inside.
Probably.
They've been hurt more than once. So they like to come across as just being untouchable. And that might be a consideration for your neighborhood if you think about it like that. Then maybe they put up that wall because they know that they're vulnerable. And it's just an experience that I've had which surprised me. I didn't think, you know, I mean, I knocked on the door expecting to be yelled at and all the rest of it. And when I end up building a friendship and talk to someone for an hour and a half who came across as being horribly mean at the beginning, it just taught me a very valuable lesson, you know, that you can't judge anyone.
Well, thank you. I'm going to do, and
Yeah.
back to you both, everyone on the call, actually, I'll let you know how it goes when I do it.
Please, please, please.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question and topic, Karen.
These are the things you're going to see when you're door knocking, right? And goes back to what Christian says. I door knock this house, but on the door, it says, "Door knockers, please note, this house charges $50 per second to listen to sales pitches and religious views. This charge must be paid in advance. By knocking on this, you signal your agreement to the terms above. Do not leave a pamphlet or a flyer on the door. Either you are under surveillance and will be charged $100 if you leave a pamphlet or flyer on the door." I knocked it. I knocked it. And they were the sweetest people ever, but they were tired of solar people coming over and water softeners. And they told me about Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, it was just insane. But I'm like, no, guys, this is just a public service announcement because I'm putting out 70 signs and I expect a lot of traffic. They talked to me for like 10 minutes. We have their contact information. I've been in contact since. So don't let things like that, like the no soliciting signs, scare you. You know, people are going to be mean. That's just what it is. But don't allow that to stop you, because again, you're doing you're providing a public service announcement. You know what I mean? As long as you know, as long as you trick your mind into that, I'm just doing a public service announcement. That's all I'm doing. You'll be fine. I'm not telling you to sell your house. That's not what I'm here for. And I tell them that I'm not here to sell your house. I'm just letting you know. And if they want to sell your house with you, great, fabulous. To go right, go for it. But just change your mindset about it. So that's how I feel about cold calling, guys. I need to change my mindset on it.
Well, thank you, Liz, for throwing that out there, because the no soliciting definitely scared me away. I did it one time for my first listing. It was good all until that mean old lady came out. She was not happy with me. And then ever since then, I've like procrastinated with it. I BS'd it knowingly. So the last listing I had 2 weeks ago, I just did 4 doors, 2 to the left, 2 to the right real quick. I know it's horrible, but I got all 4 of them to come in and take a peek, and one that's a lead. So that just, what you just saying out loud though, was a change of mindset. Seriously. Thank you so much for throwing that out there.
Good morning. I have a question to the team. This is Curl. And I have a listing with Karen, my mentor. I'm a relatively new agent, and this is my first listing. I've been showing this house. The house was on the market since Labor Day and consistently doing open houses with many signs, at least 50 signs. And my open house, I've had traffic, and it's been good. However, I have two questions. Number one, I'm not getting the follow through with the leads. I have people come through, they fill out the, not a survey, but as Max says, just a questionnaire. But, I follow up with email, phone calls, texts, and just not seeing the feedback. So that's one issue. But my most prevalent issue right now is I received an offer last week, and after the inspection, they pulled the offers because of the polyurethane plumbing. Had an open house on Saturday, had two offers, and same thing, one pulled the offer because of that after the disclosure, and then the second one I'm trying to salvage it, but the buyer's agent do not want to deal with that. The buyer had issues before. She's worried that if the seller gives her contingency towards the plumbing, that when she opens the wall, there'll be issues. So I'm really trying to salvage this deal, but it's been difficult. And my mentor is on vacation, and she's been trying to reach out, but with the Wi-Fi, it's been difficult. So any advice, suggestion?
I have a question. I don't know how your seller, how lenient they are, but can they just contribute about $4,000 or $5,000 towards that, to the repair of the replacement of the pipes? Because sometimes it's not a problem, but to ease the buyer, if it's a good offer, I mean, they can contribute towards that, replacement of the pipes.
This one that I'm trying to salvage, she is willing to pay the asking price. However, and the seller is willing to give her a substantial amount towards it, towards the plumbing. However, she's a single mom, and she had issues with her last house with the plumbing, and she just do not want to deal with it, and the seller do not want to deal with replacing the plumbing. It's time consuming. He's really want to get the house off the market, to sell the house, and he doesn't want to take it off the market and do all the work, and then the buyer pulls out of the contract.
Could they do an escrow holdback depending on the financing?
Repeat what you said, Liz.
Can they do an escrow holdback so that the seller, so basically, do you guys know what an escrow holdback is?
I am not familiar with that.
Okay,
No.
so an escrow holdback is basically you hire a contractor to do the work and it will get done and they'll get paid at closing. So is the buyer, are they FHA or is it conventional or a cash buyer?
Conventional.
Conventional, so you may be able to do it. I would call the lender to find out if you can do an escrow holdback. So first and foremost, you're going to have to find out what the quote is for the repairs, right? Because she doesn't feel safe. I mean, and then too, right now, I'm not sure if your listing's in Florida, but it's hard to get insurance right now, especially like poly piping. It's very hard. So they're going to have this problem with any offer that comes through. And that's what you need to reiterate to your seller. Like we've had, 3 offers on the table on this property, and they've all backed out, even with disclosing that we had polybutylene. They've walked out every single time. So the best bet is to see if we can replace it. You don't have to pay anything out of pocket right now because it's going to come out from the proceeds, but you have to find somebody who's going to be willing to do an escrow holdback, and title will hold the amount at closing to make sure that the work gets done, and then they pay them out so there's no lien on the property. That's what I would do. Does anyone else have any ideas?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to research that.
I
Thanks.
like that idea.
I think I was thinking in the same direction. I'm not quite sure. I might have missed something. probably did. I was just thinking that you can contract the repair without beginning the repair until you are under contract, right? So, I mean, in terms of the buyer or the potential buyer not wanting to buy because of the PB pipes, well, you know, I mean, you can't do anything about that. But whoever comes along, and I'd probably put it in the broker remarks, that seller is willing to replace all the pipes, all right, and pay for it. And then that way you'll probably attract a few more buyers.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just make sure that that's disclosed in the broker remarks. And then that way people can feel more secure about, you know, the pipes, because the pipes do scare a lot of people.
Thank you. And that's what I told the seller. I said, insurance is going to be an issue regardless if it's this buyer or any other buyer. It's an issue, and it's an out-of-town buyer. So he's like, well, we got insurance for the property. And I think he just doesn't want to deal with it and then taking it off the market, having the work done, and it might go into next year. So he really wants to try and get this done, and he's willing to do the concession, a significant amount, but this buyer is just not willing to budge on that.
Yeah, I would definitely, since he's already willing to give the concession, I would find out about the escrow holdback. And I know Pierre, well, now he is success motivator. I don't know if anyone else, so with an escrow holdback, could they do it after closing? Like, you know what I mean? Could they they could start the repairs after closing. It doesn't have to be during, and title will hold the proceeds and pay them out afterwards. So they're getting, you know, they're getting the new piping on. He doesn't have to worry about breaking walls while they're under contract and everything. That may be your best bet since he's already willing to do it.
Okay. I'm going to research that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I came in late on that one. What kind of pipes are they?
Polly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can they get insurance with the poly pipes though?
Well, the owner has insurance, so I'm on it.
The new owner.
Doesn't matter.
The new
Depends
owner.
on the new owner.
The new owner that has the house now, they have insurance on it. And that's what they
Right.
said. We had no trouble getting insurance for it.
At that time though. So on the change of it, they're gonna have to, the new owner will have to get a policy. They may ask about the poly pipes. They may be limited to the insurance they can get until the poly pipes are indeed replaced.
Okay. She wants them replaced. So, okay. All right. Thank you so much. I know how to move forward.
The insurance company, see if they'll give her like a 30-day if she's got a contractor already lined up to do the pipes to get it done right away. Sometimes they'll give you some leniency if they know that the contractor's lined up and they're going to do the work. A lot of times they'll bump the policy high, but take it right back down to a normal valued policy as soon as the repairs are completed.
Okay. Thank you.
Pierre is here, which means all of your super tough questions can now be asked. Okay, well, I am going to, since it is 9:30, I am going to go ahead and at least cut the recording here. Thank you guys so much for your participation, and huge thank you to Christian and Liz for helping answer questions and provide support. Thank you guys so much. I couldn't do it without